Hey guys, how you doing? This is Manga Etc. and I'm here today to bring you like my review for Sakamoto Days manga chapters 203 up until the latest chapter, which I think is 209, I think. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through my I've basically made bullet points. Don't want to make this a hell of a long video, so I just basically made some bullet points on each chapter, discuss my points, and then just keep it moving. So basically 203, yeah, so the flashback has now finished, and I feel like that this flashback was essentially weak. I go into why I think it was a weak flashback in my previous video, so depending on how lazy I'm feeling, I might clip the bit that I need you to hear, or if not, just go back and watch that video. Whereas I feel like it should have shown that, yes, Shin grew up thinking he wasn't loved and realized at the last minute that he was loved by his dad. I don't think it's ever mentioned what happened to his mum, but I digress. But however, within this flashback, you should have had a thing where Shin got to speak to his dad and his dad tell him something on the lines of, okay, cool, maybe I messed up. Maybe my approach to parenting wasn't the best approach, but someday or maybe one day you will find a new family that will love you the way that you wanted to be loved. And if you do find said family, then don't let it go. Don't do anything to mess it up. And that would then give validation to us having this flashback right now, because the family in question would be the Sakamoto family, and him potentially messing it up would be him breaking the rules. So yeah, I'm not going to spend any more time on that chapter, so moving on. So next chapter, 204, basically just has them breaking out of the jail, and then we find out that the Order has now joined up with X, and then a couple chapters later we find out the reason for that. So X is simply, I mean not X, the Order is seeing a decline in the need for assassins, so in order to keep that in order to change that, they have joined up with X because they realized that his plan will now lead to a more need for assassins, and that's their job, that's how they get the income, they don't be out of pocket, so that's why they joined up with X. Smart thinking, realistically, on their part. So in 20, because I wrote it down wrong, so 203, 4, 5, so in 205 we basically just learn about X's plan. Nothing more really to say on that. And then in 207, we just realized, it's just basically open season on everyone. Yeah, so 206 is where we see that, like I said previously, open season on everyone. And we basically learned that there's, I think it's law 23 of the JAA, like stipulates like no normal bystanders should come in the crossfires of any assassination attempts. And we basically, it's the end of the chapter where we see, so someone has decided to go and take out Sakamoto's wife and child. And so obviously this was shown to Sakamoto in real time. They show him like a video link, whatever. And obviously I can understand like him getting a bit panicky, like, oh my gosh, kind of thing. But what happens later, I'm a bit like, on the fence about. And that leads us into chapter 207. So in 207 now, so Sakamoto, he freezes and, people have to hop in there to save him. So basically, Team Sakamoto gets some allies in this chapter. However, I don't feel like, even with the ally support, they would have won that fight against the Order. But however, the Order retreats. So I'm a bit shaky on that. I feel like the Order was in like better hands, better position, for more than likely to get the win. But they retreat, so fair enough. So after that, the next point I really want to talk about is how, so obviously rushing home, see if his wife and child is okay. So what kind of baffs me is how Sakamoto kind of acts. So like he has a panic attack, like, I almost lost my wife and child. But I don't know, for me personally, that seems kind of out of character for Sakamoto. And another thing I want to discuss really is how they were saved, the wife and the child. Like, I'm not against them being saved. I'm not surprised that they're not dead, but it's more so how they were saved. So basically, Sakamoto, he's got a whole security link up in there, fine. I'm not surprised by that, because back in chapter one, when he was in normal life, we see that he still has, like, just the switch, then, the guns are revealed, kind of thing. So I'm not surprised by the security system. Um, I'm just more surprised on, there's a camera that just, switches it on, and then it doesn't seem right. I feel like the way that they should have done that is have Lou. Now, Lou is not your typical defenseless chick. Oh, sorry, girl. Let me be respectful to the women. Girl or woman, that you see in anime. Like, she is essentially a fighter as well. So, what would have been cool is if she was the reason that they were saved. But it is what it is. Camera. What did it detect? What did the camera detect, please? What did the camera detect that opened up the switch that let them down? Please, just let me know. Just let me know, because I'm not biting it completely. But yeah, the whole Sakamoto, I mean, I get it. He felt like he almost lost his wife and child, but it seems like a little bit too much for me. But let me know what you think. So after that, chapter 208, we basically just go back to seeing, like, how people are reacting to, like, this whole gun situation, and we basically have X tell us through narration, the first kill was always the hardest kill. The first time you shoot the gun is always going to be the hardest, but after that first initial one, it just gets a whole lot easier. And then I can't remember if it's through the X talk or what happens after that, but we basically find out that no, it's after that. So after that, we flip over to Natsuki, and we basically learn that, like, he's been crunching some numbers, and, like, within a week, it's potential 9% of the nation that will be dead. And it says that, I think, for a collapse of a nation, it's like 10% is necessary, or something like that. Something like that was said. So that was told to us. Very interesting figures to know. And then we also find out that he ordered the gun. So he has now ordered a gun. He's looking at his gun. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Going over the gun. Basically, cut a long story short, we find out that there is a chip in said gun that kind of controls it. And one of the things that the chip can do, there was three things, but the most important thing for this video really, or most important thing for the series really, is to find out that this chip can lock the gun. So it locks the gun after 3 bullets. So now that Natsuki knows that, he's, like, trying to help stop this scenario. I think what we are going to see now is him to attempt to lock the gun, obviously, before any more shots can be fired, therefore minimizing the kills, and therefore kind of dampening X's plan. But yeah, that's everything I got to talk about. So realistically, the first couple of chapters, I think 203, 204, maybe 205 as well, 2-star, if I was to give them ratings at the time at hand, because there was going on there. And then the rest of the chapters have been probably falling in the average of a 3-star rating. But yeah, of course, guys, I'm asking for your thoughts and opinions. If you haven't already, please, guys, to my YouTube channel. But most importantly, take care. Have a nice day.